As always, welcome to the Summer Sanctum. We love spending time with some of our favourite athletes across the nation, and in studio today, why do we certainly have one of those?
I think we have the biggest name we've ever had in the Summer Sanctum, because I've said this before and I'm happy to say it again. I think this person is in the top 3 female athletes in this country.
I'm not going to dispute it. Her name is Ash Brazill from the Collingwood netball club, the Australian Diamonds, and Collingwood Football Club as well. She joins us. Good morning, Braz.
Oh, thank you, Whitey and Half. Always pumping my tyres.
No, but it's true.
A little bit.
We actually believe it.
It's actually indisputable.
Because I'm not trying. Very difficult to try and find a hole in it.
Well, you are currently a national. You have national representation in 2 sports concurrently.
Yeah, it's fun.
Australian Diamond and you're in the All-Australian team for the AFLW last year.
Yeah.
That's quite an achievement.
A special breed, without a doubt, and a special human as well. And speaking of special humans, sport's one thing and it's fantastic, but there's a bigger picture to life, and you've added something very special to your picture in the last little while. Tell us more about little Louie.
Yeah, that's really cool being able to call myself a mum now, and getting home from training and being able to hold the little man. And I guess if there's any issues that have been at the club for that day or things that have annoyed you, as soon as you pick up like this little human, like you just forget about the world. So, I'm in my own little bubble at the moment and just absolutely loving life.
Now, I've been fortunate enough to know you for quite a while now, and I love your energy and the way you go about your life. But what's changed in your mindset having Louie at home, and in terms of the way you approach your sport and just day-to-day activities?
I think a lot of people would say, a lot changes, but for me, I don't really think a lot. Like Brooke and I were having a laugh the other day that our life hasn't really changed except for probably the sleep. Yes. But no, I think for me, like I've always been lucky. Like I've always felt really lucky to be able to play sport and call it my career. So I don't think I haven't had to really think, life's changed in that way, because I've always felt lucky to have that. And now I feel even luckier to have Louie. So, no, not much has changed. And yeah, I love what I do, and I hope that, I really hope that he likes sport, because I don't know how we're going to relate if he doesn't, but he's already got his first little football, so fingers crossed.
You must be one of the greatest time manager people on the planet. So you play, as what he said, netball, football, and now motherhood.
Yeah.
You mentioned sleep is taking a hit. How do you make all this work?
Well, I think I'm really lucky that I am at Collingwood and it's all under the one roof. Netball is a 12-month contract, where footy is only I think 4 or 5. I'm not quite sure. But I've got one guy that runs my whole program, so he's always looking over my shoulder to make sure I'm doing the right things and extra recovery. Throw in the mix of that, I also work at the club, so I pretty much live there. I'm trying to get a bed at the club, but that's yet to happen. But no, like I said, I do feel extremely lucky to do it, and if I didn't love what I did, I wouldn't do it.
Do you think you would be able to do it if you weren't at Collingwood?
I think Half thinks I would be able to.
Yes, I do.
I don't think I would, because at the moment you're not putting in travel in that, so I can get there at 7 a.m. and I can leave at 10, and I've stayed at the club the whole time, and which has been really good. Where if I was in another club, there would be that travel involved. Being in Melbourne, how much traffic is there? Could I make it on time? And I hate missing out on things. I don't feel like it's fair to the team. So I'm at the start and the end of netball and the start and the end of footy. So if I had to mix and match that up, I'd feel pretty like a crap teammate.
Yeah, because it's interesting, because it's, we talk about the juggle, and sometimes or often it's you do your footy and then you do your netball. But even coming in here today, it's a juggle with the interview, because we're talking about an upcoming netball game and the upcoming AFLW season. You got back into the national team. Did you think that had passed you because you were trying to play, or you were playing football as well, and that maybe, not so much you're being marginalised, but it was like, well, if Ash is going to play football, well, she's obviously not the number one priority is playing for a country in netball.
Yeah, definitely I did. And there was a time there that I thought, I was going to get the call up for the Diamonds. I had probably the best year of my life, and on the netball court, and I really thought I had probably not the team, but had a chance to get into the squad. And when that didn't happen, that's when the door opened for footy. And there was that, maybe this will put me on the back foot, but I just thought if I couldn't make it this year, then good luck any other year. So I just thought, why not? Let's just give it a crack. And but I never was quite about ever wanting to be there, and I was public about it. That's what I wanted, and if it wasn't the case, then it wasn't. That was fine, but I would never wanted to shut that door, and I'm happy I didn't. And it's really nice to be back in the green and gold.
Well, because the balance situation was communicated yesterday too, because all the 14 captains as part of the launch met with the AFL Commission, and Daisy Pearce was talking after the launch yesterday, Braz, about the balance being the biggest issue in footy. You're obviously seeing it firsthand with your other teammates. You're a netballer, you're a footballer, you're a mother, you're your employee, so you've got a fair bit happening. How do you find the balance? Scotty was talking about your time management, but how do you find the balance? Is it a bigger challenge than you thought? And you're doing more over and above what most others are doing.
It doesn't feel hard, but I feel like that's all I know. So the last month, all I've done is footy and work. So this week we've started netball up as well, and it's probably, I've only done one day of it, and I'm like, whoa, that was solid. So I think, I guess it is real, but it is what it is. If you're going to find negatives in it, you're going to find it. But if you find the positives, that's definitely going to outweigh, I guess, any negative. But I think with AFL players at the moment, or the girls, that, a lot of them do have full-time jobs. But we also get looked after by the AFLPA. Like, there's hours that we're not allowed to be touched in. There's maximum hours that we can't go over. And, like, I know that's where netball started, that, we could only train a certain amount of hours a week, and we've built it up then we're now full-time athletes. So, like, I'm really hoping that footy does get there, but it's going to, like, we're really going to have to push our sport, and our talent have to get better, to get more sponsors, to get, I guess, more people watching the game.
But how much of that, and this is probably to both you, Half and Ash, is about you're already a professional high-performance athlete from another sport. So a lot of these girls in the AFLW are experiencing all this for the very first time. So for you, you've got the foundation. You actually know over a long period of time what it takes. Is that fair?
Oh, definitely. And it's nervous. Like, when you don't know, like, what's next and what's around the corner, and you love the game so much, but you think it could be turned away very soon. It is nerve-wracking, but I think you just got to believe in the product and believe that all the players want to get better, and the more we get better, I guess the better the game's going to be. And I think this is my third year for AFLW, and from when I walked in to where it is now is unbelievable. Like, the girls are lifting crazy weights, where when I first got there it was like just learning technique. So just to see that improvement alone, like, I'm actually excited to see what this year looks like.
I was going to ask you that, actually, how you've experienced the 3-year journey you've been on with AFLW, coming from that high-performance netball full-time program, and the development of clearly Collingwood, because they're the ones you see day to day. It's pretty significant, is it?
Yeah, definitely. And like, the weights is one example, but like the 2K, for instance, that in itself, you had girls having anxiety attacks over it, freaking out. Am I not going to be picked because of this 2K time trial? Now you just have girls running it and doing so well, and you want girls under a certain amount, a certain distance, certain time, and you have girls not just beating it but killing it and killing times from where they were 3 years ago. And that's full credit to the girls, but it just shows you that, I think when I talk about netball, this has been ingrained in us since we were like 13.
Yeah.
You hit the gym when you were 13, you're in elite programs from that age onwards, and that's all I've ever known. And then to talk to some of the footy girls, and they're like, oh yeah, I just played on the weekend and that was it, no training, nothing. So it's just education, and the more the girls get experience under their belt, the better they're going to be.
And where's your downtime? 'Cause, again, time management stuff. I mean, most girls
There's
have
none, Daniel.
a gap between the VFL and the AFL, or a winter off. They're not playing VFL. You're playing in the Super Netball. You're playing for the Diamonds. You're playing footy. Where's your downtime?
I think you're forgetting I'm an athlete.
I know that, but athletes need to rest.
I know, but I find like game day is like downtime because it's just fun. Like, training for me, I'd rather not train. I'd rather just play every day. But yeah, for me, it's like you work hard all week to play. So game day is definitely my downtime, my fun day, and if I could have that every day, I'd definitely choose it.
Righto.
Then I've got Sunday,
and you got
then
Sunday.
I sleep. Yeah,
But you got to sleep at some stage.
But a lot of athletes across multiple sports, men's or women's, it's the other way around. They prefer the training than the anxiety of the actual performance on the weekend.
Yeah, I don't. Jiva,
you're flipping that
yeah,
notion.
Jiva Mentor, who's my captain at in my netball team, I think it was on the other week. We had this discussion the other day. She'd rather train anytime, which blows my mind.
Like you.
Why would you want to train? Like, it's all about the game, and you train to play. Like, I'd rather play, win or lose. Like, you go hard, and I think that's the competitive nature in me. Like, even at training, like, there's got to be a competition at training for me to like really enjoy it and get something out of it. So yeah, game day is definitely the best day.
So I gather, Ash, by the sound of this, you haven't got a 2-3 year plan where I'll go focus on one sport. You're just rolling with both for as long as you can?
Yeah, that was like the mentality of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But then I got back in the Diamonds team, and then it made me think, could I make Com Games? When's the next World Cup? And and I've never been an athlete that does that. I'm just like, next year, let's see if it happens. Could retire next year. You never know. But I think having Louis now in my life, and Brooke being from Perth, me being from Sydney, not having family around, it's like, what does that look like? And I would love to play Com Games. I've been in the Diamonds team, but I've only done like the smaller tours, but never a big tour. So I think Com Games is in 3 years. So I'd like to think that I'm a chance, but you never know. I think if it comes to that stage and I'm really looking like I could be a chance for the Diamonds, I'd really have to think about where my football career is.
You mentioned Jiva Mentor before as your teammate from the Magpies. She's your opponent in this upcoming Diamonds v All Stars clash, March 1 in Sydney, to raise money for the Bushfires. How do you go playing against people you like? Now, you probably do it every week in the Super Netball, but how do you go when you really quite like someone, you've got to play against them and get a bit physical at times, as you do, Braz?
Oh, you just got to hope you don't throw them the ball. No, it's going to be a really good match, I think. It's going to be a weird one. You look at the All-Star side, and it's a team you actually probably want to be in rather than the Diamonds, because it's amazing. But yeah, it's going to be a hard game, and I'm trying to convince Jiva that it's just a friendly at the moment. So hopefully she doesn't go in like two guns blazing. But it's going to be a tough game. Now,
it's a bushfire relief game, and we know that fundraiser. But we know Lisa Alexander pretty well in this program. She's not one to just sit there and sit back and sit on her hands when she's coaching a netball team. She gets pretty competitive. I imagine this has got to have a bit in it.
Oh, yeah. We've already been told that it's not a friendly. We know where we stand. We're just trying to get all the All-Stars to believe that it's just a friendly, and, don't really come prepared. It's all good. It's all for fun. It's all to raise money. And with that lineup, it is scary, and it's basically the world team, because you're never going to see another team like it.
And the day before you're playing footy. Is that right?
Well, 2 days before, 2
days before.
Friday you're playing the footy, Sunday there's a netball game on.
That is fantastic.
You had to get it approved.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you, how delicate was that conversation? Because I imagine the Magpies are pretty keen to lock onto you just at the moment from a footy perspective.
Yeah, this one took a little bit of a push, but we got there in the end. So fingers crossed it stays like that. I've still got the if you pull up sore after that game, I'm like, yeah, okay. I already know I'll feel great.
You'll be fine. There's no way you're.
Because that game's the big Bushfire AFL relief match.
Oh, it is too. Yes.
Yeah.
Marvel Stadium.
Friday, yeah.
It is too.
Before the men's game, it's a big day.
Yeah, it definitely means like a lot to me, because where I grew up, the fires wiped out our town, so it's something that. That's how I got it across the club. That it does mean something to me. A lot of my parents were lucky; it just missed our house, but a lot of our friends and family lost their houses, their farms. So it's good to be a part of it, especially being from New South Wales and being in front of that crowd. It's going to be awesome.
March 1, the game in Sydney, the Netball All-Stars versus the Australian Diamonds. Ash Brazill has joined us in the Summer Sanctum. If you've just joined us on the Breakfast Club, it's 7:19. She's going to stick around after this. So we've got plenty more to talk about. The AFLW season kicks off this weekend for the Magpies at their spiritual home, Victoria Park. It's one of the new teams in town, West Coast Eagles. One of Australia's greatest athletes with us in the Sanctum this morning, 7:21, Ash Brazill from the Magpies, netball and football, and of course the Australian Diamonds, who have got a bushfire relief game March 1 against the All-Stars team in Sydney. Check your local guides, but it'll be worth watching. Don't worry about that. What about Sunday at Victoria Park, Braz? Will that be worth watching against the West Coast Eagles?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a really big game for us. It's been talked that we haven't won a round one game yet, so I really think that the way we've been training, the way we've been performing, I think this is really a big chance for us to secure our first win in round one. But for us, it's all about process, like classic athlete talk.
Very good.
But, he's still in the back of your mind. You want to get that W.
Has Eddie been in? Because the Pies have disappointed. He only won one game last year. I'm tipping Eddie is keen for an improvement.
I think Eddie's in America.
There you go.
I think he was at the Super Bowl.
Of course he was.
Was he? Was he at the bowl?
No, he would have been. Everyone was. But is there a sense, there's a sense this pre-season that you guys are improved significantly?
Yeah, I think we've definitely improved. And you feel that.
Yeah.
You definitely feel that on the field. And like we had a new coach. We didn't have a lot of change up in our list. And I think, that puts a lot of onus on ourselves that, the club's backing us in here. There wasn't a lot of change, so we actually need to do something about it. And, in the end, our coach lost his job, and that's a really hard thing to do, and a new coach in. And so, we really need to do something about our performance and the way we train. And the biggest thing that we came into this season is we don't train hard enough. So our training work rate's definitely changed. And in our practice match, which we didn't win, I think we saw a lot of improvement. And I think if we converted a fair few of our goals or our rundowns, we would have been in a different position.
How is the new coach going? Steve Simons, who's come across from South Australia. How's he going?
Yeah, he's good. He's a serious man.
Is he?
Yeah. He's he's really good.
Unlike you, Daniel.
I was just looking at Daniel. It's very different. No, he's great. And for me, he's taught me a lot about my game and what my strengths are and how we can utilise that. And just the game plan in defence is really different. And this year I've really had to learn, and it's challenged me in ways that I didn't think footy would. So yeah, it's definitely been a mental challenge for me this year.
And you stole Daniel's best player. How's Bree Davey settled in?
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is awesome.
No, she's great, and not just a great player. She's an awesome human, and someone that I've really loved getting to know the last couple of weeks.
Have you dealt with?
Don't mention the war.
Oh no, I had to bring it up.
Have you dealt with not being successful in recent years at the Magpies? Because you are such a competitive beast. Dealing with that, just personally, have you dealt with that?
Personally, it's been tough, and I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, because I think netball, everything just comes so natural. With footy, sometimes I didn't even know where my kicks were going, so I didn't know how my teammates would know. I definitely put a lot of pressure on myself. But then being a leader, it was something that you couldn't really show that frustration too much, because you knew that we were on a journey and we weren't going to get that many wins, and we had a younger side, but you didn't want that to be an excuse either. But I think for me as a leader and being one of the older players, it was identifying where those growths were, and if we had it, actually celebrating those little wins. And sometimes that's tough because you don't want to celebrate something when you've lost, but I knew that was my job in this team, that we had to support those younger players, that losing is tough, but we're going to get there in the end. So what have we done well? That was my biggest thing.
One thing that caught my attention before was when you said you grew up in New South Wales. So where does AFL footy come from?
We moved to the country when I was in year 4, and I didn't even know AFL was a sport back then until I moved to the country, and there was a local AFL field. And
so where was that exactly?
Bargo.
Right.
Do you know where Bowral is?
Yep.
Around there.
Yep.
And just went to school one day, and one of our teachers was from Melbourne, and he had just a Port Kelly Cup team, and it was all boys, and I put my hand up for it. I was lucky to jump in on that. And just fell in love with the sport. Knew nothing about it, but loved the fact that you could defend and kick goals. So that was a new concept to me. So just anything the boys did back then, I tried to join in.
So then when you got into netball, and then obviously you've travelled around Australia and all that sort of thing, how did that bug remain in you? Or, were you able to play it at all? Or how did you keep the fire burning?
When I moved to WA, so when I played for the Fever, one of my good mates, Kirby Bentley, who plays in the AFLW, she was playing for one of the teams over in WA, and they were short numbers one day and just asked if I'd fill in. And I was like, yeah, why not? And so I played a game for Fever and then left. And I think I got there just before halftime for the footy. Jumped on the field and played a footy game. And then they asked me to stay with the team. And I think there was 5 games left before finals and I needed to get 5 in. And it worked out. I had 1 away game for netball. So I ended up doing that. And no one knew about it.
Did you play under a different name?
Yeah, I did, but I don't remember the name.
Someone famous.
I vaguely remember that story. That there was a different name.
Yeah, should have been fill in. But then I got Rookie of the Year that year, and it was in the paper, so I got done. So yeah, that didn't help.
Right,
so I got pulled in the netball office, and the paper was just sitting there, and I was like, oh, this isn't good. This is not good. But
I didn't know that story. Yeah, it's terrific.
The dodgy name. I vaguely remember that from somewhere.
And I've spoken to you about this before, about your fitness levels, because we were talking about this late last year, that the Collingwood netball team were off playing carnivals 6 months before your season starts and all that sort of thing. That how much of an advantage is that for you, that you're getting in so much more work, volumes of work than anybody else?
Oh, it's been great. And I think I've been able to figure out my body and challenge my body, which a lot of athletes haven't been able to do before. And I think I've been wing defence my whole career, and then the last 4 games of our season they threw me into centre, and just having that fitness base from footy, I've never felt that free in centre, where normally I struggle in centre quite a bit. So yeah, it's even changed the way I play netball now. So no, it's definitely working, and I don't know. I feel like there's always growth in that area as well.
And are there things from AFLW that you've been able to take back to netball? Maybe a defending mechanism, a zone defence, or something
Tackling
like that.
But I have handballed in the game before. That was weird. Yeah, I was like just a fake. They're like fake it, so I just mucked around and actually connected. So that wasn't good. Got in trouble for that. But yeah, for me, it's probably more the size of my body. I think since I've played footy, I've put on a few kilos just in the gym, and it's weird. In footy, I'm one of the biggest, and then in netball, I'm the second shortest. So to be able to put a bit of muscle on it and feel stronger, I don't get pushed around on court anymore. A lot of the athletes coming through now are just so much stronger that I think, you've just got to keep up. Like the fact that I'm now 30, which is a scary number, and then I'm starting to play centre, which is, you'd think one of the young kids is just crazy, but I think that's just because of footy and the way that I've trained my body now.
I want to ask you a 2-part question, flipping. Who would be the best footballer from your netball team, and who would be the best netballer from your football team?
Maddie Brown would be the best footballer.
Would she?
Yeah, keep hands off her.
His voice went up there, didn't it?
Wow. I don't think he cares about the netballer.
Maddie Brown. Just writing that name down.
No, she's great. We had a training session which we did cross code, and she was awesome. But
Maddie Brown.
Yep. So if she's good, then her sister's probably even better. No. And then just netball, I'd probably go Chloe Malloy.
Chloe, yes, very, very
good at
young
everything.
athlete. Yeah, one of those. One of those. How's she travelling? Because she obviously missed last season with the Magpies with that foot injury, the ankle injury. How's she travelling now? Yeah,
she's in fine form. I think at the moment it's just, what position is she going to play? Because she can do everything.
Yeah.
So we've been throwing her everywhere, and I think she'll be one of those players that, depending what team we come against, we'll decide what position she'll be playing in.
What about Maddie from her knee perspective? Is she all back 100% now?
Yeah, she's awesome. So having our training session, our first session was on Monday, and it was her first time back on court with us. And I think we were more nervous than she was because we haven't seen her for so long. But yeah, she was chasing down balls, dodging, and just to see a player come back from their knee and do a dodge and hit the circle like she was, I think, she'll be great coming into this year.
Is there any feedback that Adam White's given you through your training about Twitter that you need to know or tell us about?
No, we don't go into that.
No, I'm just asking. We're just asking a question, Adam.
Interesting story that came to our attention.
Any feedback for Adam on his Twitter game?
Oh, he just loves a good tweet.
He keeps telling us he's getting off social media, and the Collingwood Netballs are talking about
he's supportive.
They're talking about your Twitter performance, so I'm concerned about your exit from social media.
Let's get to a break.
No, before I let you go, what's the best thing about being a mum?
you know what? I kind of like changing nappies, which is the weirdest thing, but at the moment...
That is the weirdest thing.
That is so weird, I know, but I don't get to breastfeed, so that's like my time with him. So Brooke gets all like the cool things, and that's the time we get to connect. And yeah, it's weird. I'm just started enjoying changing nappies. I think Brooke's quite happy about that one.
And you're training too much and you're starting to think really strange things.
Well, there's nothing strange about you, Braz. You're a superstar. We cannot wait to see you in action Sunday with the Magpies against the West Coast Eagles to kick off the AFLW season, and March 1 in Sydney for the Diamonds against the All-Stars in the netball bushfire relief game as well. Well done.
Awesome.
Nice to see you. Send our best to Brooke, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you for having me.